That night, the sky over the bone domain of Yu Mountain burned red as if stained with blood. High above the clouds, the Blood Sovereign, the ruler of the Blood Hall, slowly opened his eyes. With a single sentence, he sent shockwaves through every powerhouse in the region. Find me 2 youths. Whoever provides their whereabouts will be rewarded with a 9th-grade saint artifact. Whoever brings me their heads will receive 3 saint artifacts, a reward enough to stir even the reclusive old monsters who had long withdrawn from the world. In an instant, the news spread like wildfire. Martial artists from every corner surged toward the bone domain. Killing intent rose between the sealed mountains, where spiritual sense was suffocated, where only the strong survived. No one understood why the Blood Sovereign had gone mad. Who were those 2 youths? What had they done to make a tyrant seal off 1,000 miles with a grand formation? On a desolate cliff, a black-clad youth silently watched the crimson glow engulf the sky. His hands slowly tightened. Looks like the entire bone domain wants my life. And from that moment on, the greatest manhunt in 100 years began. The moment the kill order was issued, the bone domain of Yu Mountain was no longer a barren wasteland, it became a colossal cage. The Blood Hall's grand formation descended in silence, sealing off 1,000 miles and cutting off every path of escape. Within a shadowed mountain crevice, Yi Chenfeng supported the dying Lin Hao. A single strike from the Blood Sovereign had not only shattered his meridians, but also awakened the sinister spirit sealed within his body. His skin burned crimson, killing intent surging like a tide, threatening to tear apart the last of his will. But that wasn't the most dangerous part. Yi Chenfeng knew the true reason behind the Blood Sovereign's madness. It wasn't vengeance, it wasn't pride. It was the ancient soul vessel, a sacred relic capable of hiding beyond the laws of heaven and earth, now in his possession. And deep within its inner space, a blood demon puppet forged from countless saint artifacts and primordial earth essence soil lay waiting to be unleashed. If word of this spread, it wouldn't just be the Blood Sovereign who lost his mind. Every powerhouse in the eastern region would descend into frenzy. Yi Chenfeng lifted his gaze to the crimson light staining the sky, his eyes gradually turning cold. He understood one thing. From this moment on, what he faced was no longer just a manhunt, but the greed of the entire world. If in step 2 Yi Chenfeng realized he was facing the greed of the world, then in this moment the world had truly begun to act. In a single night, the bone domain of Yu Mountain transformed completely. One by one, powerful auras emerged within the sealed mountains. Recluses who had hidden for years stepped out of their caves for the sake of 3 saint artifacts. Assassins, minor sects, even old monsters long vanished from the martial world, all converged on a single target. Yi Chenfeng. Along a fog-choked mountain path, he carried Lin Hao on his back, suppressing the sinister spirit raging within his brother's body while calculating their escape. With spiritual sense crushed by the grand formation, every step relied on instinct and memory of the terrain. Then 2 distinct presences appeared. One blazing like molten lava, Hong Yanji. One heavy as a mountain, Jin Luosha. They did not strike immediately. They observed. They waited. Yi Chenfeng understood clearly from this moment on, he was no longer merely prey, fleeing for his life. He had stepped onto a chessboard where every move could cost him his life. And the true journey of survival had only just begun. If in step 3 Yi Chenfeng had merely sensed the hunters closing in, then at this moment he became the true center of a raging storm. High above the bone domain, the Blood Sovereign stood within the grand formation, eyes closed as he extended his perception. The heavens and earth trembled with irregular fluctuations. The blood demon puppet had slipped beyond his control. Only one possibility flashed through the Overlord's mind. The ancient soul vessel truly exists. A sacred relic capable of severing itself from the laws of space. A relic that had once shaken the entire continent 100 years ago. The instant the deduction was complete, the Blood Sovereign's gaze changed entirely. This was no longer a manhunt for pride. This was a battle for destiny. He immediately issued a new command: all Blood Hall martial emperors were to mobilize. The god-slaying grand formation would expand another 3,000 miles. Anyone who dared approach the prey would be killed without mercy. Meanwhile, Yi Chenfeng felt the pressure surge dramatically. The spiritual energy of heaven and earth was locked down. Every possible retreat was steadily vanishing. He understood one cruel truth. From this moment on, he was no longer a fugitive hiding in the shadows. He had become a living treasure, something the entire world was willing to risk their lives to seize. After the Blood Sovereign expanded the grand formation and unleashed every martial emperor in pursuit, the air within the bone domain grew thick, like coagulated blood. Before Yi Chenfeng could find an escape route, 2 figures blocked his path. Hong Yanji stepped out from the mist, astral flames shimmering through the air. Each spark seemed alive, sealing off every possible lightning escape route. Behind him stood Jin Luosha, silent and immovable, his presence as heavy as a mountain, his gaze piercing straight into the heart. Hand over the relic and I'll grant you a quick death. The words were calm. The killing intent was not. Yi Chenfeng attempted to transform into lightning, but the astral flames instantly closed in. Sparks collided with arcs of thunder, erupting in sharp explosions. His escape technique was countered, the only path out had just been sealed. At the same time, within the ancient soul vessel, the blood demon puppet began to tremble. The seal was weakening. The sinister spirit inside Lin Hao stirred awake, murderous aura surging upward. Outside, two supreme experts. Above, the blood sovereign drawing closer. Within, chaos on the verge of eruption. Standing at the center of the encirclement, Yi Chenfeng felt a brutal truth for the first time. It wasn't that he was being pushed into a corner. The corner itself was steadily closing in around him. With his lightning escape sealed, Yi Chenfeng had no choice but to charge straight ahead, luring the two experts deeper into a desolate mountain valley. But the moment he stopped, even he understood. There was no road left. Behind him, Hong Yanji and Jin Luosha advanced at an unhurried pace. Far above, crimson light churned across the sky. The blood sovereign had entered a 100-mile radius. The grand formation trembled overhead, layers of killing intent, descending like a tightening net. Inside the ancient soul vessel, the blood demon puppet roared. Its power slammed repeatedly against the weakening seal, shaking the inner space violently. Lin Hao collapsed, breath fading, the sinister spirit nearly overtaking his consciousness. Yi Chenfeng dropped to one knee, his fist clenched so tightly that blood seeped from his palm. His spiritual energy was running dry. His ally was on the verge of death. His secret was exposed. Enemies closed in from three sides. The valley fell into an eerie silence. The surrounding cliffs rose like colossal blades plunged into the earth, cold, merciless, inescapable. For the first time since entering the bone domain, Yi Chenfeng felt a flicker of emptiness. No more strategies. No more retreat. If he moved forward, death. If he stood still, death. In that moment, everything seemed to have reached the abyss. A place where hope itself was nearly extinguished. At the very moment when all hope seemed extinguished, Yi Chenfeng slowly lifted his head. The despair in his eyes was gone, replaced by a terrifying calm. He had never panicked. Charging into this valley had never been an accident. Before entering the bone domain, he had obtained an ancient map marking the suspected burial site of a water origin variant hidden deep within the earth veins. And that place was this very valley. The surrounding cliffs, shaped like swords, battle axes, and spears, were no natural formation. They were the remnants of an ancient grand array that had slumbered for centuries. Just as Hong Yanji and Jin Luosha prepared to strike, Yi Chenfeng suddenly thrust his hand downward, forming a seal that slammed into the ground. The earth veins trembled. A surge of deep azure frost erupted from beneath the soil, clashing head-on against the astral flames and blood-soaked killing intent above. Space itself convulsed violently, and cracks appeared within the blood sovereign's grand formation. Inside the ancient soul vessel, the blood demon puppet was temporarily suppressed by the surge of water origin power. The sinister spirit within Lin Hao faltered as well. Jin Luosha's expression changed. Hong Yanji instinctively stepped back half a pace. Standing at the center of the awakening formation, Yi Chenfeng spoke with chilling composure. "I'm not running. I'm choosing the battlefield." The chessboard had officially been overturned. The moment the ancient grand array was activated, the entire valley shook violently. The water origin variant surged upward like a torrent of glacial blue, colliding head-on with the blood-red radiance pressing down from the sky. And then, the blood sovereign arrived. He descended like a falling crimson star, killing intent, blanketing the heavens. Even Jin Luosha and Hong Yanji were forced to halt their clash with Yi Chenfeng. The pressure from the ruler of the Blood Hall was far more terrifying. Hand over the soul vessel. 4 words. Enough to twist the very fabric of space. Yi Chenfeng did not retreat. He pressed his palm against the earth, directing the water origin current to tear open a corner of the blood formation above. Inside the ancient soul vessel, the blood demon puppet was fully suppressed, its seal temporarily restored. Lin Hao's breathing steadied. 3 forces collided. Flame, blood-soaked killing intent, and freezing water spiraled together, forming a devastating storm of spiritual power. But in the instant of greatest chaos, Yi Chenfeng opened the soul vessel, devoured a portion of the water origin into its inner world, then transformed into a streak of lightning and tore through space to escape. The valley collapsed. The grand formation shattered. Amid the ruins, the blood sovereign stood motionless, his gaze colder than ice. The manhunt was not over. It had merely entered a new chapter. If you want to see how Yi Chenfeng will use the soul vessel and the water origin variant to strike back, comment 1, and I'll continue the next part.